Howdy, yokes, and welcome back to Bacon and Eggs! I'm Tyler Carlin.
And I'm Ethan Edgehill.
And we're headed back to the wizarding world of Harry Potter.
But this time we're in England.
So get ready to be sorted.
And let your wand choose you.
Because we've got a special guest today.
For Harry Potter and the Sorcerer / Philosopher's Stone and Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets. We're doing a twofer.
A twofer? We never did twofers. You probably knew that because you clicked on it. And there was two names on it. But anyway, welcome to the show. We have a special guest. Her name is Jordan Balke. She comes to us. She's the Jane of all trades for Super Carlin Brothers, but she's also got an incredible YouTube channel of her own that she wants to talk about. Jordan, hello. Who are you? What do you do? What is your thing? I'm really bad at introducing people. I feel like if you were a senator, he'd walk up there and be like,
do you got a man? Are you in love? If so, what type?
Anyway, Jordan, hello and welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. I'm happy to be here.
We're happy to have you. Jordan, who are you and what do you do?
So my name's Jordan, and Tyler was absolutely right. I am the Jane of all trades for the Super Carlin Brothers. I also have my own channel, Super Awesome Jordan, and you can also find me on Twitter at Super Awesome Jeb. That's Jeb, because you can't quite fit enough characters in your handle to have my full name.
That's okay.
Fun fact about Jordan. Jordan is the world's most humble human being. So much so this weekend that I was hanging out with her and I was like, yo, is that Super Awesome Jordan? And she sits me down and goes, now, you know I didn't pick that name for myself, right? Like, obviously,
so
I know
true.
this.
Jordan is super awesome.
We're talking over each other. Good start.
Sorry. Yeah, great chemistry here on Bacon and Egg. Ethan, we're talking about Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone and the Philosopher's Stone, but I watched the American version with Jordan yesterday. Now, this movie was released on November 16th, 2001. That was 6,086 days ago, which, like, hurts my soul to think about.
Yeah, I definitely saw this in theaters.
Yeah, 6,000 days ago. Oh my gosh. It had a $125 million budget. Did make it back, though. It made $974.8 million worldwide. Pretty well received. 80 critic reception, 82 audience reception on Rotten Tomatoes, but 64 on Metacritic. So that's just to run down to the stats. I guess, how do we talk about movies?
What do you mean?
Did you like it? Do we do a binary review?
We do a positive and negative review.
Positive and negative review. I knew that.
Of the movies.
I've done this show before. So I have a positive review picked out, but I'm going to let you go first.
So I've got a negative review for Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone. They were few and far between. People really like this movie. But Nathaniel Rogers of Film Experience says, there is such a thing as being too faithful to a novel. Many things that were amusing on page are laborious and redundant in the film, but they're here anyway.
I think that's a positive review.
That's why I picked it. I was thinking, after I watched it, I was like, this is a really good adaptation of that book. And this guy's like, this is too good of an adaptation of that book, and I hate it.
That it's too good.
So give me a positive review real quick.
So this comes from Jeremy Johns at jeremyjohns.com, and he says, this is the world-building moment for Harry Potter, and I loved it. It's sweet and endearing. The setup is so enjoyable to see. And that's just, honestly, if I were to give a review for this film, and I was confident enough to just write that, I would probably just write that.
Instead, we're going to talk for the next hour about it.
Instead, we're going to say as many things as possible. People seem to really like the binary review we've been doing, so I want to do one of those. Ethan, do you get this a 0 or a 1? 0 being
I want to hear from our guests first.
But Jordan, 0 people shouldn't see it. 1 people should see it. What do you think?
1 people should absolutely see it.
Yeah, I don't think I know anybody that's going to rate this movie a 0. Like, is it the greatest movie that's ever come out? Absolutely not. Is it even the best movie in the Harry Potter series? Probably not. But you should definitely watch it. Like, if you haven't seen a Harry Potter movie at this point in 2018, I don't have much to talk to you about, honestly.
I'll tell you, Chris Columbus, it's a 1. I'll give it that.
It's a 1.
It's a 1. Chris Columbus did some weird movies before this. He did this and Chamber of Secrets, and then the series gets a little darker. But before this, just to give you some framework, he did Bicentennial Man, which is the worst movie. Probably not the worst movie, but it's very long, and in 1999, my 7-year-old self was very bored. Mrs. Doubtfire, Home Alone 2, Home Alone. Those are the only ones out of this list I recognize. He did Rent.
Interesting that you brought up Chris Columbus making a long movie. Now, you wouldn't dare say that both of these movies are way too long, would you?
Oh, definitely. Listen,
because I would.
I will get to how much longer Chamber of Secrets was than it needed to be, because Jordan,
especially because we watched the extended version by mistake.
Yeah, and it had like all of these bonus scenes that were totally unnecessary.
The extended version only adds 16 minutes.
That's long time.
That's many minutes.
Ethan.
Right, but what I want to get at is that movie is already 2 hours and 41 minutes long.
It is?
The standard version is 161 minutes.
Of Chamber of Secrets?
Yes.
Are you
Jeepers.
serious? That's so long.
161 minutes.
You know, I'm not surprised. I actually remember popping it in and being like, this one's a little bit shorter. It'll be fine. Whatever. No worries.
It's the longest of the whole series.
It is 100 years long.
Yeah, based on the shortest book.
And I
think.
remember from the books that Chamber of Secrets was actually shorter than Sorcerer's Stone.
Is it?
Not by much, but I'm pretty sure on my bookshelf it was not as fat of a book. Now I feel compelled to check.
I'm not positive on which one's shorter. I know that the longest book is Order of the Phoenix, and it's the shortest movie.
So, Sorcerer's Stone is the shortest by about 9,000 words.
Oh, well, I was wrong.
That's not that many, though. These were considered at the time very long books. In fact, they didn't want to give J.K. a deal for the first one because they thought it was too long to be like a children's young adult book.
Yeah, and then she released Goblet of Fire and Order of the Phoenix, and they were just
Order of the Phoenix is
angry.
It's like 900 pages long.
257,000 words.
Fair enough. Well, so tell me, guys, about how you got into Harry Potter. Like, what was your experience seeing this movie back in 01?
Gosh, it was that long ago?
Yeah, it was
Well, it
6,000
didn't have
days
to be.
ago.
I mean, you could have watched it whenever, but yeah, 6,000 days ago back in 2001, Jordan. What was your experience going to this movie? How old were you?
11. I
adds
was
up.
11.
Did you see it in theaters?
I honestly don't remember seeing it in theaters. I was a midnight kid for the books, but not necessarily for the movies.
I feel like I definitely didn't see it at midnight, but I definitely remember this movie. I know I saw it in theaters. I don't think I saw it opening day or anything because I was very, very young.
I did.
Did you?
I 100% saw it opening day. I don't think there were midnight premieres back then. I think I saw it like the next night, or not the next night, but like that first night. But I definitely saw it opening day, like, because I remember it was a big deal. Like, for months ahead of this movie coming out, there were protests in the church and people like, hey, anybody who goes to see this movie is condemned. And I was like 9 or whatever, not even, no, I was 8, and I was just like, I want to see this movie now because all the adults are telling me I'm not allowed to.
Did you enjoy it?
Oh yeah, well, I read the books, or I'd read the first 2 at least.
I remember seeing, this was 2 years after Phantom Menace. I remember seeing Phantom Menace in theaters. I do not remember seeing this in theaters.
Interesting. I definitely saw both.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm kind of sad that I don't remember my first viewing of Sorcerer's Stone or of any of the Harry Potter movies, I don't think. But even just rewatching it, it still brings up a lot of those same giddy excitement feelings that I'm sure I felt back then. Especially like the opening sequence there where you hear, because it was our first auditory exposure to Harry Potter, because up until that point, Harry Potter had only lived in the pages of the book.
Right.
And just the first couple of notes of the Hedwig theme are so recognizable that if you hear it anywhere, you immediately know it's Harry Potter. And
Yeah.
Hedwig theme is the main theme.
Yep. The
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
And hearing that yesterday, just rewatching the movies, I was immediately transported back to 11-year-old me reading the books and seeing the movies and just being excited.
Oh yeah, instantly. They zoom in on the cat and the street, and Dumbledore starts clicking out the lights, and I'm just like, whoo, this is fun. This is exciting. It's a super fun movie. It's magical, and it feels like childhood, more so than any of the other like childhood movies we've reviewed so far, to me.
I would agree with that.
I'm sorry, what was that last point?
I said that this one feels more like nostalgia and childhood than any of the other like childhood movies we've reviewed so far.
I'll say, yeah, I agree with you there. For me, like when I was watching it, I was like, I remember being a kid and this being like the peak of set design and world building and just everything you could ever dream of in a movie. It was so revolutionary. Obviously, it wasn't, like this was, Star Wars was, looking back, I think the world building in The Phantom Menace is better than the world building in this. But
what do you mean by world building?
Just like the way maybe not world building, but the way that the sets look, the way that it's presented, the lighting, the cinematography and the staging of everything, the mise en scène.
Oh, it's so much better in this movie than The Phantom Menace.
I'll say the only reason I say this because when I watched this, I was like, I remember being a kid and being like, there is not a movie out there like this. And watching it yesterday, I was like, this looks like Hocus Pocus.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like,
and to me, it felt a little campy.
It looks like 1999. Like,
yeah,
it really does. And I guess that's a little bit of Chris Columbus's directing and his cinematography and him being like a 90s director.
Yeah.
But it definitely looks like a Lifetime movie.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. My comment watching this to you, Ethan, I think I texted you and I was like, this is the best Disney Channel original movie ever made.
Yeah, I can totally see that.
Right, like obviously it's not, but like it doesn't quite stand, to me it doesn't quite stand up in terms of like cinematography and things like that, as well as a normal good film. And the kids are all terrible actors. More so, I think, in the second one than in the first one. But
right, and then they just grew up a lot before the third one.
Like, Jordan, we were talking about this. Emma Watson's character, Hermione, obviously is supposed to be like extremely smart and top of her class and like brainy and annoying. But Emma Watson's just so cute that like you don't look at her and think brainy and annoying and smart. So they've got to like crimp her hair. But I don't think young Emma Watson knew what she was reading. Like, there's a bunch of times.
There were definitely a couple of places where she didn't understand what the line was supposed to be, and they
like what it was
didn't
conveying.
correct her.
Yeah. So like when she sits down to fix Harry's glasses, she's like, I've only been doing simple spells. And then she says, for example, and it sounds like she's saying like a spell. Like it doesn't sound like she's saying, for example, I've tried Oculus Reparo. Like the way that she delivers the line is just like, you have no idea what you're trying to say, do you? Which is fine. Like she was, 10, so I'll forgive it. But there was another part when she says Hogwarts a history. It sounds like she's stuttering, like she's thinking it's Hogwarts history.
I read about it in
Hogwarts
Hogwarts, a history.
Yeah.
There's just a break there that doesn't make any sense. And I remember even young me thinking that was such a weird way to say that.
Yeah. I remember young me not remembering the textbook she's referencing and being like, thinking it was called Hogwarts History instead of Hogwarts A History.
Well, and this just suffers from the classic, like, kids don't talk like that thing. It's like a script written by adults for children to be acted by children.
Right.
But, like, kids don't speak to, like, each other like that. And there's been very few movies that have ever really grasped that. This is not one of them.
I will say this film does, as far as world building goes, maybe again the wrong term, but as far as casting goes, there was some excellent casting for characters that had to last
multiple
8
years.
Movies.
Yeah.
Yeah. And like there's that movie Boyhood that was supposed to be like this amazing art project about it, like it's the same kid cast for 12 years and they filmed it over 12 years and he goes from like 6 to 18 or whatever. But I think this is a much better example of that.
On average, I would agree.
Yeah. I mean, this movie's not excellent and Boyhood is amazing, but like, you know what I'm saying.
Well, everybody involved in the project was like, casting this was the toughest challenge.
Well, because I feel like when you cast things where there's a specific look you need to get, not only did they limit themselves by being like, we're only going to use British actors, which is fine. Like, do whatever you're going to want. Do whatever you want, but there's definitely way less British actors than there are actors total. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the British actress thing was a huge sticking point for J.K. Rowling.
Right.
She wouldn't let Robin Williams be Hagrid.
I don't think that Robin Williams would have done a good enough job as Hagrid. Like, just
I agree
the
with that,
casting of Robbie Coltrane as Hagrid was so spot on.
Yeah.
They nailed. You can say what you want about the kids. Like, yeah, Neville grows up into this like specimen of a human being, which he shouldn't have been.
I don't think Neville, like, I know what like attractive men look like. I don't think Neville is an attractive man. The guy that plays him,
right?
I think he's just a guy.
I mean,
more Matthew Lewis for me then.
But he's just not supposed to like be in any way attractive. They even describe Neville in the 7th book as still just being super awkward, and he just didn't grow into that kid. I mean, Emma Watson obviously it did not maintain the whole frumpy bucktooth persona. Daniel Radcliffe still looks pretty much exactly the same, just like older and taller.
Yeah, well, but he stayed shorter than Ron, and he was supposed to,
which is good. Yeah, that could have been really awkward.
Yeah, if Harry got like real tall and lanky.
Yeah, but as far as the adults go, they nailed every single person. Like Maggie Smith was perfect. Alan Rickman was perfect.
Alan Rickman was the most perfect casting, except maybe Richard Griffiths, who played Vernon.
Right, everybody's favorite person to be on set with.
Is that true?
Yeah, that he's just like the nicest human being alive.
He's not alive.
Well, he was then.
Right.
They said the same thing about that, and everybody says that about Lucius Malfoy.
Really?
About Jason Isaacs, yeah. And the kids who worked on Hook said the same thing.
Weird.
Yeah, I mean that's always the case. It's like they say that about Tom Hiddleston now.
Oh, I believe working with Tom Hiddleston's got to be the coolest thing.
Wait, Lucius Malfoy was Hook?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I never realized that.
Yeah, no, I didn't realize that until today. But yeah, and fun note about the score, because I do think that is the truly exceptional moment of this movie is this, well, not moment, the truly exceptional factor of this movie is the score. Everything sounds like Christmas music, which is awesome, and just adds to that like whimsiness of it. Is it all could just be sleigh riding music. But John Williams was the backup composer.
Behind whom?
I can't remember his name. Somebody I've never heard of in my life who I guess dropped out to work on another project, and they were like, we need a composer last minute who can do it. And John Williams is like, I mean, I guess.
I mean, whatever. But
We knock something out on my laptop in 5 minutes.
Right. He didn't have a laptop. This is 2001.
They had laptops back then.
He was on Sibelius 2.
Whatever. He's on his Apple Macintosh.
Right.
But yeah, he was not the original composer, and I just can't imagine a different score to this movie.
Oh, it would be, the whole world of it would be different.
Yeah.
Like, people can say what they want about the films not matching up the books, and I will say, I'm reading the books right now, and I don't think I've read the books as many times as I thought I did. In fact, I may have just read all of 5 and 6 for the first time in my life, which I was very surprised by as I was reading them. Although, as I'm reading 7, I know I've read these words before. But anyway, I can see why people get upset, like the injustice of not matching everything from the book to the film. The adaptation's not perfect, and it's never going to be perfect. But the fact of the matter is, if the films didn't happen, Harry Potter would not be what it is today. Without a set of Diagon Alley, you don't get a theme park of Diagon Alley.
Yeah, I mean, you got a lot of truth to that.
Without wands, you don't get wands. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Jordan, what were you saying?
Ethan, if you said that you saw recently that it wasn't supposed to be John Williams who composed it, if you heard the name, would you remember?
I mean, I can find I read it today on IMDb Trivia. I can find
I was going to say, was it supposed to be Hans Zimmer?
No, it was not.
Because that's the only thing that I am bringing up.
Gotcha. Hang on a second. Let me see what.
That would have been wild.
That would have been a whole different movie.
That would have been a totally different thing.
No, it was somebody with a G. Hang on.
Not Mike, though.
No.
Was it Grindelwald?
It was not Grindelwald. James Horner was contracted to compose music for the film, but was unavailable because of a schedule conflict at the last minute. The task ultimately went to John Williams.
James Horner?
James Horner. Yep.
He did Avatar.
He did indeed, and Titanic.
Yeah.
Titanic
Well, he probably
does
wouldn't have been
good
bad.
good music.
For sure. He probably would not have been
Impact
bad.
And Mask
He did
of
The
Zorro.
Mask of Zorro, John Negroni's favorite movie.
It looks like he had some pretty successful roles.
Yeah, I would agree with that, for sure.
Yeah, and I mean, he Academy Award nominated for a bunch of things, so...
Yeah,
But he's not John
would've been fine.
Williams,
He's not
man.
John Williams.
Oh, yeah, no. John Williams is the man.
Like Harry Potter without the Hedwig's theme, without any of the.
Well, and it's just amazing how immersive music can be. Like, more than anything, I would say that Sorcerer's Stone being our first visual and auditory look into the wizarding world, basically, is so immersive with how, I mean, just everything is so well done, and it's the type of thing where if you rewatch the movie, you see new things in Diagon Alley, and you look in all of the windows of the shops, and you realize that all of the characters are dressed just a little bit funny because they're supposed to. They're not supposed to look like Muggles. They're not really supposed to know how to dress or fit into Muggle culture, and I think that the costuming and the set design was so precisely done that even though people complain that it doesn't have everything that the books have, it by itself is such a standalone piece of like excellent piece of art / just a wonderful work in general, that it's okay that they left out stuff from the book.
I agree with that. And honestly,
yeah.
in this one, they didn't leave a whole lot out. I know that people are upset about Peeves.
Yeah.
I'm not.
That really bugs
Peeves
a lot of
was
people.
Stupid. Peeves shouldn't have been in the books.
They did film scenes with Peeves in it and then cut them.
Good, because then it would have had been a problem for 7 movies.
Right, they were
8
like,
movies.
this doesn't work. All these scenes are terrible. Like, you just can't bring this character to life.
So
Well, he also, reading the series right now, he's in every book, but he rarely does anything that, can't be explained away with a different character. Like, he doesn't advance the plot. He's not...
very rarely
doesn't
does he
come out-
advance the plot, yeah.
Right, and it doesn't come out in the end that he's, like a Horcrux or something. He's just an annoying character.
Well, so I remember growing up playing the computer game.
Oh,
the
yes.
Harry Potter
Oh,
computer
yeah.
game. And Peeves was a very integral character in the computer game, and he actually moved the plot along quite a little bit.
Yeah, he was the, tutorial character, the, Greek chorus.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah, which was really cool in that game. I remember that game. When that came out, I thought it was very difficult. Yeah, you learned a bunch of spells that never existed.
I mean, you can learn Flipendo in the Harry Potter mobile game now.
Oh my, don't even start. The Harry Potter mobile game is a 43 on Metacritic, by the way. case you were wondering.
The cool thing about Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone is that Harry doesn't cast a spell the whole time. And I think that that's so important because it's about the wizarding world and everything great wizarding, but like it doesn't rely on magic to be good.
Yeah.
It's good storytelling that makes it good. Magic is happening in it.
Right.
And I think that's so important.
Well, and they said that in the movie they kept that consistent from the book to like emphasize the fact that Harry, the only magic he does is accidental, like when he talks to the snake or when he makes the glass disappear. And it shows that he is magic, but he's not trained at magic.
Right.
So they kept that intentionally to give the character room to develop, just from a cinematic standpoint.
Right. I will say, story-wise, I feel like Sorcerer's Stone runs into the same problems that, like, A New Hope does, where it's like, it's very clear that after this was successful, you put the rest of the story together, and there are plot holes because of this.
There aren't a whole lot of holes.
I mean, yes and no.
Like what?
I don't, like, there's not a single lock the rest of the series that Alohomora can open except on Harry's bedroom door.
Okay.
Why would you have the lock guarding Fluffy be unlockable?
It was intentional. Have you not heard that theory?
No.
All of the puzzles and charms and challenges were supposed to be beatable by first-year wizards. Harry was supposed to get the stone.
I've heard that, and I've also heard that, like, the only way you'd be able to beat it is in a team, and two, the like only things that children would think of, because you have to play like a game. That. You have to fly around and find the key. It's like stuff that adults wouldn't necessarily, be trained in. It's the already smarter than a fifth grader thing.
Right. It's obvious to an 11-year-old.
Right. And like Hermione would obviously think to just like unlock the door, whereas an adult would probably pull on and be like, well, heck this. Because none of the other locks work with Alohomora ever.
Yep.
Ever.
I mean, that's just plot device. I mean, obviously there are better ways to lock doors.
Mm-hmm. Well, there were a lot of what I would call a Deus Ex. I should not have said that. Like.
Oh yeah, where like Hagrid just gives them
Yep.
information.
Yep.
He's such a lovable character, though. It's like every time Hagrid does something stupid, I'm just like, aw.
Yeah, like you gotta think if Harry doesn't make it to the stone, Quirrell never finds it.
Right.
Yeah.
And Voldemort doesn't escape the Half-Life.
True. One that actually reminds me of one scene that I wish hadn't been left out of Sorcerer's Stone, and that is Fred and George pelting the back of Quirrell's head with snowballs, because you realize later that they were smacking smacking Voldemort in the face.
With snowballs. Yeah.
Yep.
Also, apparently they were originally planning to cast the guy who ended up playing Professor Lupin, I can't remember his name, to be Quirrell.
Oh, that would have been a wasted casting.
I know, right?
Oh, I would have been so sad.
Yeah. He was so great as Lupin. David? Mark? British name. I don't know.
I don't know it
name.
offhand.
Yeah, I don't know off the top of my head. But there was a lot of 90% of the IMDb trivia for this movie and the next movie are like, so-and-so was supposed to be casted at this, but didn't. So I think that a lot of these people, they just came to like the last straw and ended up with really good people. I know that Chris Columbus only wanted Daniel Radcliffe for this part, but the casting director was unwilling to cast Daniel Radcliffe.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm surprised by that, because I felt like most of the time with these descriptive character movies, they just cast every kid in the world that looks kind of like what Harry Potter might look like.
Well, Daniel Radcliffe was in a movie before this. He was in David Copperfield.
Yes.
And Chris Columbus was like, that's the kid. When he got his hands on Harry Potter, he's like, that's the kid. I want that kid. And casting was like, he'll never do it. And they just didn't even ask him. So he got Chris Columbus got the casting director fired and found a casting director who would get him Radcliffe.
That's amazing.
Who made $1 million in this movie, by the way.
Wow.
Yep. He made $1 million off the first one, and they tried to only pay him $100,000 for the second one. And the Actors Union was like, you can't do that.
Well, he probably didn't see any of it until like 2010.
Oh yeah, he straight up was like, they paid me £1 million for it. That's cool. Just like, all right, Danny Rads. Yeah, they made some money off these movies.
Just a little, just a bit. Did anybody else feel we have to go get the Sorcerer's Stone was almost like someone's going to steal the Declaration of Independence, we need to steal the Declaration of Independence?
That's just sets the whole thing in motion for the Harry Potter thing of like, well, I can't tell the adults, I just gotta go do it myself.
Yeah, I get so frustrated that the adults never listen to him. It's like, he has got good reason to believe Snape is the problem and nobody's hearing him. I don't know, it's frustrating.
Well, that's what I love so much about 6 is that for 6 straight books, he's like, it's Malfoy and Snape, and nobody listens to me, and he's wrong every time, and then finally it is Malfoy and Snape.
Yeah.
And, oh man, Tom Felton playing Draco Malfoy, what a little
I hate him.
I hate him so much.
I loved the Malfoy joke about, well, it wasn't even a joke, but he was like, we can't go in the forest, there's werewolves. Because in a lot of headcanons, Malfoy is actually a werewolf.
Wait, what?
Have you not heard that?
No.
No, what's the evidence for that?
I don't know. I'll research and get back to you.
Yeah, I've never heard that. That's awesome though.
Yeah, because like he's not a full Death Eater, and I think it was one of those things that like as a punishment to his parents, they Voldemort had maybe Greyback bite him. I'm gonna look this up right now.
Well, I love the line in general when Filch is like, "There's a lot worse than werewolves in that forest." Like, and then they spend the next 6 books talking about how there's very little worse than werewolves.
Right, like werewolves are definitely not what you want to run into.
Certainly not anything in the forest, which seems to be...
I wouldn't want to run into Aragog.
Yeah, which, with the exception of the Hive of Acromantula, seems to be full of relatively reasonable creatures.
Well, Voldemort was in it that night.
Yeah, I wouldn't call him a mythical creature that lives in the forest. He lives in the back of somebody's head.
Rhett and Link?
What?
So you don't think Voldemort likes Rhett and Link?
No, I don't think Voldemort is a mythical beast. So, what was y'all's favorite part of this movie? Like, pick a scene or like a moment or an idea.
I'll tell you what I like is, as far as storytelling goes, a lot of people take issue with Ron as a character, say he's not necessary to the series. But Ron's whole necessity happens throughout. But his sacrifice in the chess game is so important. Like, Ron is willing to die for this kid. Because, like, he doesn't know what the queen's going to do. It's been brutally destroying stone statues this whole time.
Right.
Right?
It might just stab him through the chest.
Right. And Ron is willing to make that move so that Harry can get to the Sorcerer's Stone. And I really like that. I think that that's super important, and it shows how important Ron is moving forward.
Right.
I think my least favorite scene in the whole movie, because I've asked plenty of people this, and nobody can give me a satisfactory answer. It's in the book, too, is why Hermione tells Ron he has dirt on his nose.
What?
Right in the beginning scene, when she meets them for the first time, she's leaving, and then she comes back and tells Ron, "You've got dirt on your nose. Did you know?"
She does it in the book, too. It doesn't explain anything.
I feel like it's just to emphasize how annoying of a human being she is.
Yeah, it's definitely to set up that he has a reason to dislike her.
Right. It's like he's immediately not supposed to like her. Because, and they don't do a very good job of saying that in the book or the movie, because they seem pretty chummy shortly after that.
Yeah, there's like a quick scene in the movie where you learn that they don't actually like her, where he's like, "It's a wonder she hasn't got any friends."
Yeah, actually, I would say that because of that, my favorite scene is probably with the mountain troll in the girls' bathroom, because they had just done Ron had just been complaining that Hermione sucks and no wonder she doesn't have any friends, and feels maybe a little bit of responsibility that she's been crying in the girls' bathroom all day. But when she's in danger, when crap actually hits the fan, they put aside the fact that they don't like her because they need to help her.
Right.
Because Ron's the real hero of the series.
Yeah, Ron's the one that saves her, because Harry doesn't do any magic.
Yep. And the thing is, they dislike each other, and she's right there, staring at him, walking him through it, because she knows that he didn't get Wingardium Leviosa in class, and she's like, "It's a swish and flick. Like, you can do this, you got this, here's my little pep talk." And then, when the teachers come in, she takes responsibility for it. Even though they were mean to her, she knows that they came to her aid when they didn't have to, and that, number one, without them she'd be dead, and number two, that they are good friends. And I really think that scene is the turning point on their friendship, and so it's my favorite.
It's Leviosa, not Leviosa.
Not Leviosa. Ethan, what's your favorite scene?
That's a tough one. I mean, I really do, I've always enjoyed the last, not the last scene, but the trials, I guess, to get them to the Sorcerer's Stone, the thing with the key.
Devil Snare hates sunlight.
And the thing with the Devil Snare, and the thing with the chess, and the fire. I guess the fire didn't happen in the movie, but that part, it's cool that there's this labyrinthine test that they have to get through to get to the Sorcerer's Stone, and then he can't even get it at the end, because it's you still have to be worthy.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Only someone who wanted to obtain the stone but not use the stone could have acquired the stone.
One of my more brilliant ideas.
Man, Richard Harris is creepy.
Is that his name?
Yeah.
Is that not the point?
Dumbledore, yeah. He's creepy. I didn't get the whole mentoring father figure thing out of this character. I just got creepy old man who doesn't really know what he's doing at all. I got 10 points to Dumbledore guy.
Earwax.
I love the alas earwax line. It is one of the funniest.
Richard Harris didn't even want to be Dumbledore. He didn't want to be remembered as Dumbledore because he knew it wasn't going to last much longer.
Richard Harris is remembered as Dumbledore.
Yeah, for sure.
Remembered as Marcus Aurelius.
I don't think so.
Gladiator.
I don't think so. But even more so, know. But the thing is he's remembered to Dumbledore, but like not the Dumbledore.
Right, he's not Michael Gambon.
Who is just way better, but would have been terrible in the first 2 movies.
Yeah, he was way too intense.
Yeah. Did you put your name in the goblet of fire, Harry?
I will say something I thought was cool. I pointed this out to Jordan when we were watching it. I think this is what they were going for in the film, is he walks into Ollivander's, and Ollivander, like, John Hurt is perfect in every way, and is like, hello, I knew the day I'd see you, Mr. Potter. I remember every wand I've ever sold. The wand chooses the wizard. It's not always clear why. But I think what he does is he gives him, because he goes through 3 wands in the film. He goes through every wand in the shop in the movie, but he goes through 3 in the film. I think what happens is he gives him a wand similar to Lily's, a wand similar to James's, and then he's like, you know what? What about a Voldemort wand?
Curious.
See, I disagree with that.
Curious.
I disagree with that assessment, Tyler.
Why is that?
Just because there's so much variety to wands, to be able to say that 2 are similar to one another, because you can have...
say Harry's and Voldemort's are very similar.
They have twin cores, but they're still completely different woods.
Yeah, but they have something that is very similar.
Right. The
Yes.
Phoenix who gave your wand that feather gave another feather, just one other feather.
Yeah, I think there's definitely like
It gave you that scar.
It'd be
It is
wrong to
curious
say
that
that
this
the
wand
connection's
would
not
select you, Mr. Potter, when its brother gave you that scar.
He's
Yes.
the best casting. I think. Well, in this movie at least, the best casting in the whole series is in the next movie. But
Yes.
the best casting in this movie by far is John Hurt. They captured Ollivander to the T. Like, because when you read the book and you really pay attention, especially in the latter books of the whole where Harry is like, I don't trust Ollivander. He kind of seems a little bit off to me, and he's a lot more interested in like the wands than like helping me out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I absolutely got that even in this movie from John Hurt before those books were even written. I don't think they could have picked a better person, and it was just great. I love that scene. That's probably actually is one of my favorite scenes of the movie.
So you don't think, I'm asking you, Jordan, you don't think that other wands would have brothers or sisters?
No. Either it's the type of thing where I'm not super duper up on the lore, but I'm pretty sure that the point was that phoenixes only give 1 feather, and it was very strange for this phoenix to have given more than 1.
Oh, see, I took that the other way to be that it was weird that Fawkes only gave 2 feathers.
Yeah.
Because like the phoenix seems like an infinite supply of feathers because it just keeps burning alive and remaking itself until the end of time.
I also feel like that's why there's so many wands to choose from. Like, I don't know what Lily and James's wands were, but I feel like, if one of them's got unicorn tail or whatever, what is the unicorn one?
Hair.
Unicorn hair.
Unicorn hair as the core, then like finding another unicorn hair wand what I would say is tangentially similar, more so than the one Harry got. That's just my view. I don't know. I thought seemed like an interesting way to show it. And maybe it's just that things in 3s look good on film. I don't know what Columbus's thought was there.
I mean, I definitely think we needed 3 of them. 3 is the perfect number.
Yeah.
Because if they had gone on to do another one, I would have been like, all right. Unless it was some like montage that's just Harry trying a bunch of different wands, like one swish for each of them. That would have been cool too. But I get why it's in 3s.
Set to like a punk rock song.
Lily Evans' wand is made of willow. It is 10.25 inches and unknown core, which seems interesting. JK, make something up. You do that for everything else.
This is all fiction.
And then James Potter the First's wand. Also unknown core, 11 inches mahogany. I guess they did that on purpose then.
Maybe. I don't know.
Pliable, excellent for transfiguration, according to not Pottermore, but
Pottermore
results.
Well, if it's not Pottermore, it's not gospel.
Well, it didn't come up on Pottermore's results.
I am curious. Let's, I guess, wrap up our thoughts on the first one and then do some interlude and then talk about the second one.
Okay,
Sounds good to me.
So I don't know what I lost that. I had a train of thought, and it departed the station without me on it.
Well, let me open Patreon.com because we got to rank it.
Are we gonna do them together or separately or
separately?
Okay. Well, so how do you guys think this movie did toward its goal of like being the opening film in the series, being the establishing film? Do you think it set the series off well, or do you think it, didn't?
I think it sets the series off really well. It did not age as well as I would have liked. Like, I don't know if I introduced this to my children down the line, if they're going to love the movie as much as I did. But I think I will always have a nostalgic ping with it, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, all of the movies look like the year they were made. None of them are made very timelessly.
Yeah. Those are my thoughts on it. Like, I definitely enjoyed it. I was definitely, brought back into the wizarding world and reminded how much I loved it, and buying tickets to Orlando while I was watching it, and I didn't actually do that, but I wanted to do that.
Don't do that.
I want to go.
I do too. I've never been.
What do you think, Jordan?
I think that this film did a really good job of establishing the world that the rest of the Harry Potter series takes place in. And like, because the characters are so young, and even though they kind of sort of fight the Dark Lord, it's happier and the tone is a lot brighter than some of the later movies, and so I think it really sets a good threshold for sort of what the upper limit is, if you will.
Yeah, and I think it set a stage so that they could change things moving forward if they wanted to. Like Voldemort's appearance isn't congruent throughout all 7 movies. There's like a different portrayal for this one, and then the next one, and then in 4 he looks completely different for the rest of the series.
Well, this one is the same actor that played Quirrell.
Oh, is
yeah,
it?
voicing and playing
cool.
both sides of the face.
That's cool.
So I thought it was just supposed to look like Quirrell more than it looked like Voldemort.
No, I agree with you there. I like when reading the book, I don't get the idea that he looks the same here as he does at the end of 4. I'm just saying that they allowed themselves to change things moving forward. And then like the castle set changes a little bit throughout the series.
A little bit. I think the only thing the only thing consistent, I think, was the entrance hall.
You might be right.
They kept that same set, and
Gryffindor common room looks
that
similar.
too, and Dumbledore's office.
Yeah.
But like the exterior of the castle looks completely different.
Yeah.
There's like a clock tower. Like
They needed a clock tower. There's supposed to be a scene about the clock tower.
What?
Where they get rid of Norbert.
that was the astronomy tower, I thought.
Oh yeah. But anyway, I liked it. Let's do some rankings.
Okay.
What do you think of Quirrell?
As the villain?
Yeah.
I don't know if I'd call him the villain. I think Voldemort's the villain.
Voldemort.
I mean, he's all right in this movie. He does a less good job of anything in this movie than anywhere else.
I think Quirrell does a good job of shifting between the everybody thinks I'm super timid and I'm gonna stutter and be really hesitant, and then in the room where he thinks the stone is, immediately he jumps into the I am confident.
Oh yeah, it was a
scary,
really well delivered scene. And he's just like, nobody would ever think it's poor stuttering Professor Quirrell, and you can see it's just an act, and like he looks intimidating for the first time in that scene. That was really well delivered from whoever that actor is.
Nobody.
Well, he was Quirrell.
He was Quirrell. Professor Quirrell. Yeah, I mean, I agree. He's Quirrell.
So on a scale of what is it? I've forgotten the scale. Tommy Lee Jones as Two-Face in Batman Forever to Heath Ledger as the Joker in The Dark Knight. Where does Quirrell / Voldemort fall on this list?
I don't know, like 5?
Like right in the middle, like a good median.
Yeah, it's like he is indeed a villain. That guy's a villain, and that's all you need.
Fair enough. So we'll rank it in the Harry Potter rankings. Is it the best Harry Potter movie we watched so far?
It is.
So far, absolutely.
It sure is.
So we're not counting Fantastic Beasts then.
Fantastic. It's not better than
It's
Fantastic
not better than
Beasts.
Fantastic Beasts.
Definitely not better than Fantastic Beasts, but it is the best Harry Potter film.
True. That's what I was asking.
Wizarding World
are we
films.
how are we ranking the series? Are we considering Fantastic Beasts and the upcoming Crimes of Grindelwald as part of the series, or nay?
I don't know.
Even that.
Is Solo part of the Star Wars?
We did rank
series?
Solo with the rest of the Star Wars movies.
Then I'm gonna say that this fit into, or that the Fantastic Beasts movies fit in with this, and it is not better than
It is
Fantastic
not
Beasts
better
and Where
than
to Find
Fantastic
Them.
Beasts and Where to Find Them, but it is better than nothing. So
Yeah.
it's number 2 out of 9.
Out of 2.
Out of 2.
2 out of 9 that possibly exist right now. It's 2 out of 2. Yeah, I'm talking out of my butt.
Yeah, so Jordan, you're our guest this week. I'm curious about your Pottermore sorting results. What can you tell us about, your houses for Hogwarts and Ilvermorny, which is so frustrating to say.
Ilvermorny.
What a stupid name. Your Patronus, your wand. You own your wand, don't you?
So the wand that I own is the one from Universal that they give you based off of your birthday. And the wands that they have available at Universal don't necessarily match up with the wand woods that are available on Pottermore. So my wand from Universal, I believe, is ash wood. Specifically, it's ash model 3 because I found the little stamp that's on it.
Ash Model 3.
Yep, they've had a bunch of different versions of it so that there's always more to buy. But no, my Hogwarts house, I am a Hufflepuff. And I was a little bit of a reluctant Hufflepuff at first because I thought that maybe I would be a Ravenclaw because I was like, oh, I'm smart. I like school. But It very much is that Dumbledore quote of it's our choices who define who we are. And I'm very much the type of person, like, just because I think that I'm smart and liked school, my choice, and my mom sort of makes fun of me for this, that I didn't see it initially. I was always the type of person to greet the new kid. So whenever someone new came to our school, I'd be like, hi, I'm Jordan, nice to meet you. If you don't have anywhere to sit at lunch or you don't know anyone, feel free to talk to me. I'll show you around, blah, 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 blah. So I'm really...
And they'd be like, wow, I was actually popular at my old school, so I'm just going to do that here too, weirdo.
I mean, that definitely happened a couple of times.
No, it didn't. Kids aren't that mean, are they?
I mean,
kids are pretty mean.
Yeah.
I remember
I'll
it
vouch for
happened.
that.
It kind of sort of happened in high school. With this girl who, like, she wasn't mean about it. She was just like, oh, I'm already on the volleyball team with a bunch of people, and at my high school, the volleyball team was popular.
Yeah, same with ours.
Yeah, those were the cool girls.
Yeah, who'd have thought that girls in super short shorts and tight shirts would be popular in high school? But
What do you say,
Not
Jordan?
I.
nothing, absolutely nothing. But so she was already like friends with that whole group. But she wasn't at all mean about it. It was just like, oh, I already have a bunch of friends here. Thanks anyway. Okay.
Okay, bye. Didn't even want to be friends
Bye,
anyway.
Felicia, I don't need you.
I mean, we had a lot of classes together.
What are your Pottermore results? So you're Ashwood 3 for Birth Wand.
Birth wand.
Right, but I am a pear wood with unicorn hair core, 14 and a half inches in length, and it has a
14!
and a quite
That's
bendy
humongous.
flexibility.
That's so big.
That's a long wand. That's 1.25 inches shorter than Sirius's wand.
Well,
I'm holding Sirius's wand, and it's big. Oh.
on Pottermore, they say that wands between 8 and 15 inches are typical.
Mine's 11. Vinewood. Unicorn hair.
You got a little baby wand.
And
Because I'm
about
4 foot tall.
something like that, whereas I'm 6 foot tall.
Yeah, Jordan's 100 feet taller than me.
Yes.
So this is interesting. We all have unicorn as the core of our wand, correct? Is that right, Jordan?
I have unicorn, yes.
Okay, sorry. I said it and then I was like, I don't remember what Jordan said.
Okay.
So I also have unicorn hair. I'm 12.25 inch, normal size, pliant flexibility.
Yeah, I'm unyielding flexibility, which makes sense if you know me.
Whereas I'm quite bendy flexibility, so we're all different flexibilities. So tell me
Yes.
about your wand woods. For me, Pear says this golden toned wood produces wands of splendid magical powers, which give of their best in the hands of the warm-hearted, the generous, and the wise. Possessors of Pear wands are, in my experience, usually popular and well-respected. I do not know of a single instance where a Pear wand has been discovered in the possession of a dark witch or wizard. Pear wands are among the most resilient, and I have often observed that they may still present a remarkable appearance of newness even after many years of hard use.
Well, my wood is a little bit different. Elmwood is it says the unfounded belief that only purebloods can produce magic from elm wands was undoubtedly started by some elm wand owner seeking to prove his own blood credentials. For I have known perfect matches of elm wands who are muggle-borns. The truth is that elm wands prefer owners with presence, magical dexterity, and a certain native dignity. Of all wand woods, elm, in my experience, produces the fewest accidents, the least foolish errors, and the most elegant charms and spells. These are sophisticated wands capable of highly advanced magic in the right hand, which, again, makes it highly desirable to those who espouse the pure blood philosophy. So it sounds like a lot of people with elm wands want to be pure blood or believe in the pure blood movement, which I wouldn't say that I necessarily do, but that's what I have.
I've got a Vinewood wand.
Is it like 6 seconds?
Yeah, it's 6 seconds long. The druids considered anything with a woody stem to be a tree, and vine makes wands of such special nature that I've been happy to continue their ancient tradition. Vine wands are among the less common types, and I've been intrigued to notice their owners are nearly always those witches or wizards who seek a greater purpose, who have vision beyond the ordinary, and who frequently astound those who think they know them best. Vine wands seem strongly attracted to personalities with hidden depths, and I have found them more sensitive than any other when it comes to instantly detecting a prospective match. So I'm special.
Interesting.
No, you're not special at all. You don't astound me ever, so they probably sorted it wrong.
Wow. Thanks, man. You're such a kind
Go ahead.
person.
Such a kind person. Are you pure blood?
I don't know.
I think what
determines that for American muggles?
What fascinates me more than anything is that we all have the same core with the unicorn hair. I'm curious. I want to really read this. I'm less interested in the length and the flexibility, but I'm curious about our core situation here. So it says unicorn hair generally produces the most consistent magic. and is least subject to fluctuations and blockages. Wands with unicorn cores are generally the most difficult to turn to the dark arts. They are the most faithful of all wands and usually remain strongly attached to their first owner, irrespective of whether he or she was an accomplished witch or wizard. Minor disadvantages of unicorn hair are that they do not make the most powerful wands, although the one wood may compensate, and that they are prone to melancholy if seriously mishandled, meaning that the hair may die and need replacing. So that didn't really tell us at all about who we are as people.
I think it's just trying to say this is the most common type.
Yeah, that's definitely what that's saying.
I mean, producing consistent magic is a good thing.
It is a good thing. I'd be interested to see if there was like, if I would be interested to read an original story that where like the core of the wand, I guess this is what all Harry Potter is, but where the core of the wand was like really powerful at certain spells, but really bad at, I don't know, other spells. Couldn't levitate things to save its life, but it could really do the Cruciatus curse.
That would not be a unicorn one because it says it's difficult to turn to the dark arts.
Correct.
So Jordan, you're a Hufflepuff. What is your Ilvermorny house?
Thunderbird.
Yo, same.
Oh, I'm a wampus.
You are a Wampus.
Yeah, you are.
I'm the warrior,
I
baby.
called that. That was great.
That was live.
I called that live. Tyler had not done it, and we were just like, yo, Tesha was like, yo, you should do it right now. I think you're a horned serpent. And I was like, now you're a Wampus. He's like, I'm a Wampus. And I was like, yeah.
Yeah, that's astounding that you say that, Ethan.
Thanks, man.
That's astounding.
I'm glad you're
that you got that
astounded
right.
by me.
You frequently astound your
Thank
peers. What is your Patronus? This is what I'm most interested in, Jordan. J-Rod.
My Patronus is a dragonfly.
What?
Yeah, I can see that.
No, it's not.
It's so small, though.
What does that even mean? It's so itty bitty.
I mean-
it's like your wand is like 100 feet long.
Yep, 100-foot wand, 3-inch Patronus.
You know what they
What
say
does it
about
say
big
about
wands?
does it say anything about what that means?
Nope.
Doesn't look like it does.
There's
It
no
just says
explanation about your Patronus.
dragonfly.
It's just about the
Interesting.
Patronus charm itself. My Patronus,
Ethan,
my
what-
Patronus is a West Highland Terrier.
Yay, Westies!
Little puppy.
Little puppy. I'm a fox.
A fox.
Fox.
Your wife thinks so.
Ooh.
That's right. No, not a bull. Fox.
I wasn't howling.
Ow! Wiggity, wiggity, wiggity.
I don't know. I kind of like Dragonfly because like it sounds like it's a little bit more BA than it is. Like, oh, it's got dragon in the name, but it's just a dragonfly.
I know you said dragon, and I was like,
Just a tiny
"Whoa,
little bug."
that's cool." But it's actually a little bug that has coitus with its head, and another dragonfly's butt.
Jesus Christ.
Is that real life? I need to Google this literally this second.
That's what Derek needs on his computer tomorrow morning. Google search dragonfly coitus.
I'm actually searching it on my phone because his keyboard is so loud. I'm afraid of the noise picking it.
Oh, we're big fans of loud keyboards here at Bacon and Egg.
Yeah, I'm constantly
We are
editing
over
out
here at
keyboard
Super Carlin
noises.
Brothers too. In fact, I'm the only person who doesn't have a really noisy keyboard.
Clicky keyboards are the future, Jordan. Are you learning about dragonfly coitus?
I am.
Doesn't it look like they're like stuck head to butt? Or are they doing something else when that happens?
Yeah, it definitely looks head to butt.
There we go.
Dragon.
I mean, that's the future too. It's
coitus.
dragonfly season, baby.
SZN.
Dragonfly season.
So it actually,
Sizzin.
the way that it's positioned, it almost looks like a heart, which is both cute and horrifying.
Yeah, this is something.
Oh, you're picturing something.
This is something.
Are you guys both Google searching
Yeah, I
it right
think
now?
that Jordan and I are looking at the same picture.
It's not in the show notes. It is not in the show notes.
Dragonfly coitus.
You can look it up
this is
yourself
as bad
with
as Moof
parents'
Milk
permission.
biscuits.
You can look it up with parents' permission. I'm looking at you, Jaws.
This episode of Bacon and Eggs is brought to you by Dragonfly coitus.
is for dragonflies who
When
want to
a
reproduce.
mommy and a daddy dragonfly love each other very much and sense the end of their life approaching rapidly,
They must produce offspring.
they are just fulfilling their single basic need. Make more of them.
Biologically, life ends, like the life cycle ends when you procreate.
Correct. That's when your like evolutionary function is over.
Yep.
That's why old people still get weird disease.
Tyler, if you look at your phone, I just sent you the heart picture of dragonfly coitus.
Oh. Oh my gosh.
It's like the cutest
Blech.
picture of sex I've ever seen.
Okay.
There
Oh
are
my
several
gosh.
of
What
these.
a weird.
Several of these dragonfly heart sex pictures.
Oh gosh. All right, Harry Potter, huh? What do y'all think? I don't know. Tom Felton was a little bit older than everybody else.
Yeah,
That's
and
the
it
thing.
showed.
Yeah.
You don't need to call me Sir Professor. That happens way later on.
Yeah.
But I'm just trying to change the.
Are we
change the
moving on to
subject
the chamber of secrets?
Chambre. How do you say of in French?
Deux.
Chambre du Zeron. I could have been a Frenchman.
Somewhere Polly is just smacking her head into a wall.
So the first thing that I noticed about Chamber of Secrets, watching it back to back with Sorcerer's Stone, was holy voice drop. Like,
yeah, they grew up a little bit. Just to give you some stats on the Chamber of Secrets, Chamber of Secrets was released November 15th, 2002. That's 5,722 days ago, so like 300 days, or like a year exactly.
It was a year, and it's 364 days, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. The budget dropped from 125 to $100 million, but it still made right around the exact same amount of money. No, it made a little bit less. $879 million worldwide. Critic and audience ratings switched, so this one got an 82 critic, 80 audience, and it lost a point on Metacritic, down to 63. Now, for a negative review, Ethan, what you got?
I've got a review from Michael Agger of The New Yorker. It is not Richard Brody, but is from The New Yorker, so I thought that was interesting. And he said, 2 down, presumably 5 to go, and the franchise is already entering a dangerous territory. If you aren't one of the many who know your Harry Potter chapter and verse, prepare for a nap.
He's not wrong.
yeah, he's not wrong.
You could take a pretty good nap in this almost 3-hour-long movie. It's ridiculous. This movie is way too long. Nothing happens for 90% of it.
With the extended scenes, the best character is lost. I did want to read this Jack Matthews New York Daily News review real quick. He says, Radcliffe, 3 inches taller and an octave lower than last year, is growing comfortably into his character, as is Watson, the fetching and confident Hermione. So, no love for Ron, of course, as always, even though Hermione is, at least in the book, absent for like 60% of this story,
So-
just as she was in the first book.
Do guys' voices drop between the ages of 11 and 12? I thought it was later than that.
Did for Daniel Radcliffe. Turns out most humans develop differently than each other. Very rare. Kind of like wands. It's not always the same, you know?
It's a good
But no,
thing
apparently-
you can't see my face because my eye roll was enough to break the camera.
Just roll your eyes in the next decade.
It drops like a little bit at first, and then like overnight it drops a lot. Mm-hmm. This was not the overnight situation. I don't think it was an octave lower in this movie. It was lower, but it wasn't.
It's almost certainly not an octave. An octave is a long way when you consider the range of human speaking voice.
Right. Yeah.
It was definitely an octave.
It was not an octave. It was a while though.
You just
Are we talking between the first book and the first movie and the second movie, or are we talking?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was easily an octave.
I don't think so. An octave is a long way. But anyway, it dropped a good bit. But that was, I mean, like I noticed it for like the first scene, and then I was like, okay, moving on.
So something that I noticed in the Chamber of Secrets that I didn't notice in Sorcerer's Stone was how many angular shots there were. Like no one was upright in the frame during conversations, which I thought was really odd.
You said this in Sorcerer's Stone?
No, in Chamber of Secrets.
In the Chamber?
Yeah, they were much more angular. Like I remember even from the get-go when we were in the bookstore and you saw Lucius talking with Arthur Weasley, they were both just at very steep angles when they were having that conversation.
Yeah, it was, I thought this one did a really good job of putting things in Harry's perspective.
Yeah, I was just about to say that. It feels like you were talking to an adult the whole time.
Yeah, so like anytime an adult was speaking, you were way below them. Because he is a 12-year-old. And I actually thought that was a well done thing with this movie, was you don't, like, if I recall correctly, there's not like a single scene that happens away from Harry's perspective, which is cool. Because like that's one of the things J.K. Rowling does so well is writes in that third-person limited perspective, and she only breaks it in the 6th book for 2 chapters.
She breaks it in the 4th one.
She does?
Yeah, when Voldemort kills that Muggle.
Oh yeah. But no, that's still Harry's perspective.
No, it's not.
It's his dream.
Is it?
I don't know. I know that like, Harry at least at some point sees that. At the beginning of 6, it's like in the office of the Prime Minister of England.
Yeah, and then with Snape.
Yeah.
I mean, for sure. Yeah, she does write in that third-person limited really well, and this movie reflects that. Like, yeah, it is shown from Harry's perspective, and he's a lot less, I guess, confident in this movie almost. Like the character, not the actor. The character is a lot less. Like he seems to have his stuff figured out less.
Yeah, he's going through a huge identity crisis. Like the bonus scenes add a couple spots where like it shows Fred and George being like, "Oh, look, there's the heir of Slytherin," and there's a scene where Harry's like sitting on a hill looking down at Hogwarts, and he's like scratching Hedwig, and he's like, "Who am I, Hedwig? Am I really just Harry Potter?" And the extended scenes did a really good job of like showing that Harry is really struggling in this movie. Like I remember watching this movie and thinking it's all about Kenneth Branagh, and like Gilderoy Lockhart plays a huge part in it.
It is all about Gilderoy Lockhart.
It is. Everything's about Gilderoy Lockhart. Welcome to Bacon and Eggs, Gilderoy Lockhart podcast.
Yeah, this is the best casting in the whole series.
Yes,
He's
without question.
Kenneth Branagh.
It turns
perfect.
in like an Oscar-worthy performance as Gilderoy Gilderoy Lockhart a terrible character.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just the delivery is just, and I get that a lot of people's complaint is that he's supposed to be like mind-numbingly handsome, and he's not.
I think he's
a
pretty
good
handsome.
looking dude, but he's not like, oh my god, stop the presses.
I would think that Molly Weasley would think he was Stop the Presses handsome.
But this movie lives and dies with the supporting characters, and a lot of them are really great. And a lot of the main characters and the main story of it is just kind of
And I mean, he does kiss Daisy Ridley in Murder on the Orient Express, right? So obviously he's a handsome dude.
Kenneth
You don't just
Branagh
get to
is
do
the
that.
man. Like, I think directing Thor was probably the worst thing he's ever done.
Yeah, he looks a lot like Obi-Wan Kenobi, Ewan McGregor.
A bit.
Yeah, I can see
Like,
that.
if you look at his headshot, it's like,
I can see that.
that's Ewan McGregor.
But he is phenomenal as Gilderoy Lockhart. Just the world's most arrogant human being who's apparently a Ravenclaw. I still don't feel that.
Gotta be pretty smart to learn those
I
obliviate
mean, he's
spells.
such a Slytherin though. Like,
Here's this is how I think everybody should take the test. Is you get to take the sorting quiz when you're 11 years old and it's September or whatever.
Yeah, I agree. I completely agree.
And then you never get to take it again.
Yep. So I think that Chamber of Secrets suffered a little bit from the I should not have said that ex machina again.
Yeah.
With Dobby a lot, he did that.
Dobby was a weird character to introduce.
I never liked him in this
was
book
like-
or this movie.
No, because it's like
Oh,
you
I
can introduce
hated
as
him in
much
this
info
movie.
as you want.
He's such a jerk. He just doesn't listen. There's no logic behind him.
Right.
He's there to make
And like
Harry's
I
life
know that
harder.
Dobby's redeeming moment was supposed to be when he was freed and Lucius literally was trying to kill Harry for that, and he's like, "You shall not harm Harry Potter." But really, especially because not all of the books were out at that point, I just did not find Dobby to be a redeemable character after this movie
Yeah.
for so long.
I also feel like, and this is me on the Harry Potter series, but the way that Dobby is presented as Sock is a total cop-out.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
In the book,
Like in the book and in the movie, where it's like it's in the diary
that's
and he
what I
just
meant.
hands
In the
it to
book,
him.
the sock is in the book. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Like, that's not presenting somebody with clothes. Can Dobby not do laundry?
Right, but like magic clearly works in those loopholes. Like
Oh,
throughout
yeah.
the whole series, it's like there's ways that it's clearly not intended to be used, but is being used like that. Like
Right.
the Priori Incantatum thing.
Yeah. But to me, that was just like, that's how you free Dobby is, I don't know. Like,
That's a super cop out. Yeah, 100%. 100%. The story of this movie leaves a lot to be desired for me, and the same with the book. It's my least favorite book, and
really?
Chamber? Yeah, easily. Yeah, 100%. It's probably my least favorite movie. Thinking about it, it's closely tied with 6.
So I have a bit of nostalgia for Chamber for the book because I remember we read Sorcerer's Stone with I guess it would have been my 4th grade class, but I never got my own, or I didn't get my own copy of Sorcerer's Stone. And then I got my own copy of Chamber of Secret, and I must have read that book 100 times before finally getting a copy of Sorcerer's Stone and then later Prisoner of Azkaban.
I've definitely seen Chamber more than the other movies. It's the one that's always on TV.
That's true.
I saw Chamber, actually, this was great, and jumping back to our early conversation about music, I saw Chamber of Secrets orchestra cast.
Oh, that's cool.
So they play the movie without the soundtrack, and then the orchestra plays over top of it, and it was so very good.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah,
sure.
I've always wanted to go to
sounds
one of
very
those
fun.
for like, I'd take pretty much any movie. But yeah, that's super cool. That is super cool. I mean, it's not by any means a bad movie. It's just this story in it is a lot of like, I don't even know how to describe it. It's a lot of unnecessary backstory that never really leads anywhere. And
You get a lot of Voldemort. Do you think when J.K. Rowling, revisiting the series recently, do you think when J.K. Rowling wrote this book, she had Horcruxes in mind?
yeah, I think she had something. I don't know if she knew exactly what they were going to be. I think that she definitely planned on using that book again as a part, as like a prop.
I think she had to have had Horcruxes in mind because the memory of Tom Riddle of Voldemort was preserved in the diary, and so she had to have some idea of how that happened.
Right, and like they talk about the locket in Borgin and Burke's in this movie.
They do.
And the locket is shown on screen in the movie.
It is?
Yeah. Yeah. It is. It's very brief. It's in the shop, but it remains there until later on. Yep, it is in the movie. So I guess they had to have figured that part out at least. Maybe when the book was written, I don't know, but by the time this movie came out, that was definitely figured out. And I mean, the basilisk thing is kind of a cop-out too. But the basilisk is...
Yeah, because when Harry gets basilisk in his shoulder, it should kill the Horcrux in him, right?
I thought the whole thing was that the venom didn't actually penetrate or whatever. Like the basilisk did not inject venom. It kind of grazed him.
No, because Fawkes cried on him to make him better. He definitely had the venom in him.
Yeah, that's my mentality. He definitely had the venom in him. I will accept that because Harry didn't die, the Horcrux didn't die.
You got to kill the thing.
You got to kill the thing to kill the thing?
Yeah, that's the specific thing about the Horcrux is that's how a Horcrux is different from like a ghost. Is like if you destroy the holder, the Horcrux dies.
The real question is Dumbledore Crookshank?
No.
Crookshank's surprisingly not an animagus.
Crookshanks is a Kneasel, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was shocked. Like capital SHOCKED when Crookshanks did not turn out to be a person.
It made so much sense that he would.
And that cat had way too much personality.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, did you meet my cats, Ethan? My cats have a lot of personality.
Your cats seem to be afraid of me.
It was your first time here.
Yes. So I touched both of them, but very briefly. And one of them put her entire head in my shoe.
That makes sense.
Yep. I thought she was just going to climb all the way in. I was like, this is about to be adorable. But it did not happen. Alas. Earwax. All right, cool. Chamber of Secrets. So my favorite character in this movie is Gilderoy Lockhart. I just love Kenneth Branagh. It's such a great performance. I know I keep saying this, but it's such a great performance that he like saves the movie. If that had not been Gilderoy Lockhart, and he wasn't even the first choice, he was the third choice
behind whom?
Jude Law, who ended up not making it all the way through because he was deemed to be too young, and Hugh Grant, who had a scheduling conflict.
Hugh Grant would have worked.
Hugh Grant was supposed to be Gilderoy Lockhart.
Hugh Grant could have worked, yeah.
Yep, but I thought that was interesting that Jude Law was turned down for the part because he was too young, and Eddie Redmayne was turned down for the part of Tom Riddle because he was too young.
That's okay. We still got Eddie Redmayne later.
Yeah, and we still got Jude Law later.
Not Hugh Grant.
Not Hugh Grant. Hugh Grant probably will not be in a Harry Potter movie.
Did you guys have a favorite moment from this movie?
I don't know. I'll say read through this time around. I loved this book a lot more than I usually do. I still am not. I don't care.
I
about the
love
movie.
Arthur Weasley.
I do love Arthur Weasley. What is the exact function of a rubber duck?
Are you really?
When he comes home and he doesn't even notice there's a strange child at his table, he's just like, I'm done with work. This is great. I can eat breakfast or whatever. And he's just like, good Lord, are you really? And then he's just like,
he's pretty
immediately
great.
is what is the function of a rubber duck?
And honestly, I think Arthur Weasley's casting was like the Molly and Arthur's casting was so spot on in this movie.
Oh, they were great.
Arthur
I would
Weasley
believe they were a married couple.
I don't think of those actors as being anything else.
It's weird when you see, because I've seen a bunch of movies that he's been in, to see him as not Arthur Weasley.
He's pretty prolific.
Wasn't he in 101 Dalmatians with Hugh Laurie?
Yes. No. Was that 101
The
Dalmatians?
live action version.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was Dr. House and Arthur Weasley.
Yeah.
Were Horace and Jasper.
You're exactly right. I couldn't remember what movie that was.
Mark Williams.
Yeah, Mark Williams. And yeah, I would totally believe that he and Molly are related. There's a lot of, like I said, there's a lot of great side characters. Like you get a whole lot more of Uncle Dursley being himself, which is always great. The Japanese golfer joke, man.
What is the Japanese golfer joke?
Really racist.
I don't think it's super racist because he's telling it to his kid.
Uh-huh.
And
yeah, but he's a terrible
and his
person.
boss. Like, I don't know.
I feel like I've heard a Japanese golfer joke. An American goes to Japan to close a big business deal. The night before, he is very tense, so he picks in Japanese. The man figures the next day he is playing golf with his Japanese customer. On the third tee, the Japanese man swings. The ball makes a beautiful arc, hits the green, bounces twice, rolls, and winds up right in the cup. A hole in one. Thinking to impress his client, the man repeats the
Oh my god, that is definitely inappropriate. I don't think he would be telling that to his kid. Good Lord,
Holy crap.
that was wildly inappropriate, Tyler. You can't say that on this PG podcast.
Oh my gosh.
So another moment from this movie that I really loved is a line that was apparently completely improvised by
Tom Felton.
yes, thank you.
Yeah.
By Tom Felton. I didn't know you could read.
Yeah, he forgot what he was supposed to say
Yeah.
and asked.
Yep.
as Goyle. They said that to Goyle. That's great. It is a classic line from this movie. You hate Draco Malfoy, even though he's like barely in this movie, except for not knowing who the heir of Slytherin is.
Did you get the Flourish and Blotts scene in yours? Did you see him and Lucius walk in? Not Flourish and Blotts. What's the one? Borgin and Burke.
No, that is not part of the movie.
There's like a 2-minute scene where it's very poorly acted by everyone in it. You can see why they left it out. Borgin or Burke specifically was absolutely terrible. But where they go in there and Harry hides in like a
sarcophagus.
Yeah, sarcophagus, a catacomb. And
he's supposed to hide in the Vanishing Cabinet.
It was not the Vanishing Cabinet. I know, yeah, but he did. And I don't even remember what they talked about. Draco says he wants something, and Lucius is just rude the whole time.
Yeah, Lucius won't buy him the Hand of Glory.
Yeah, but he gets it eventually, right?
I think so.
What do you think he uses it for?
Light. It only lights up for him.
Yeah, he uses it to lead the Death Eaters through the Peruvian instant darkness powder in the 6th book.
I literally listened to that today.
That's a thing. I mean, a mind is a terrible thing to waste.
Is it?
Yeah. So did everybody say their favorite parts of the movie? What's your least favorite part of the movie? What was that one scene that just drives you nuts?
So since Tyler and I watched the extended version last night, it really irritated me how much the extended scenes were not properly like color and light matched to the rest of it. It was very, very noticeable when it was one of those scenes.
Yeah, there was like they shot them all in the same light and then added the orange or the blue to show like mood in post. And they just didn't do it for the extended edition. So like halfway through the movie, there would be a scene that shot just like a normal day. There was no mood effect or anything.
So I just hate Tom Riddle. I hate that whole scene.
I remember as a child when he's like Tom Marvolo Riddle and then he rearranges it being like, oh my God.
Did anybody else in the books go back through and like check to make sure every single letter lined up correctly?
Oh yeah.
But apparently in like translated versions, they had to use really weird.
The French is Tom Elvis Jedusor. Elvis. They needed that V. So they went with Elvis, which is awesome.
Could have been Leves. That's an Elvis anagram for you.
Could have been a lot of things. But yeah, Tom Marvolo Riddle, which to me, even as a child, I was like, that's a cop-out.
That's not a name.
You said, I am Lord Voldemort, and I've got Tom Riddle, and here's the letters I need. Let me make a name out of it.
Right. I think she added the I am part.
Marvolo.
Otherwise it would have been Rivolo. Rule.
There's also no I in Voldemort. They need the I am for Riddle.
Yeah.
Anyway, Tom Marvolo Riddle. I hate the kid. I didn't like that whole scene. I've never liked that whole scene. The snake, not scary. Ginny Weasley, not that great of an actress. The guy who plays Tom Riddle, not that great of an actor. Does not deliver that performance well. Gilderoy Lockhart's not even in the movie at this point. Why do we bother?
I feel like I'm going to be mean to what's her butt real quick, and I don't want Bonnie Wright. I feel like Ginny Weasley was the only character where they cast a kid and they didn't turn out as pretty as they were supposed to. Where like,
I'm sorry, was Draco supposed to end up pretty because he did not?
Let me tell you, if you look up on Instagram Tom Felton stan pages,
people love them.
You're going to find
Tom
plenty.
Felton.
Yeah, people are all about some Tommy Felton. So, but I felt like Bonnie Wright is beautiful and as an adult is an attractive human, but I felt like she didn't have the best looking teenage years for the boy who lived to be like the one girl that he would ever choose. You know what I'm saying?
Well, he doesn't pick her because she's the most beautiful girl alive. He picks her because she's cool. Like, he likes her. She's got nice skin.
She's got a, what's the hex she got?
Bat bogey hex that impresses Horace Slughorn.
You wouldn't believe. Yeah.
I didn't buy her in this movie. I didn't buy the whole thing, the whole package of like she's the one murdering the chickens.
The way that it warps the screen when it's going through what she's doing is so like era specific.
Yeah, it's bad.
It's bad. I wasn't in love with it. The CG in this whole movie is not good.
Yeah.
And I feel like if you're going to make a giant basilisk and then you're going to make a theme park about your movies, you could have put the basilisk in your theme park if you'd made a nice robot basilisk.
They did make a robot fox. Fox is animatronic.
You know what worked spectacularly was the door leading into the chamber with all of the snake heads on it and stuff.
That was cool.
I just love the thing about the Tumblr post about like what was Tom Riddle doing while he was sliding down that slide, and it's just like a picture of Tom just angry facing the whole time.
Something about that whole thing. I don't much care for Moaning Myrtle. I didn't think that the Polyjuice Potion thing, like I get as the 7-part story, it's important to introduce the Polyjuice Potion early because it's used in like every book. I
didn't think it was necessary to turn Hermione into a furry.
Yeah, what's that all about? Why couldn't she have just gotten Millicent Bulstrode's hair?
I don't know.
Because J.K. Rowling hates Hermione.
Yeah,
That's
she
why.
needed Hermione to spend the entire book in the hospital wing. So Harry and
Yeah.
Ron have to...
First as a cat, and then
the thing is
petrified.
because Hermione obviously figured it out 500 pages before they did.
Right.
She would have been way too useful in that whole basilisk thing. It's just like, Harry,
Right.
don't look at it.
Also, I work in a world where plumbing is a regular thing. Let me tell you, 50-foot snakes that are that wide do not fit in your plumbing.
That is a real thick snake.
Even the U-bends of the toilets and the sinks.
Well, the U-bends, the toilets at Hogwarts can clearly fit a whole ghost.
I think
Ghosts
I've
are
never been
fluid.
cool with that.
They can...
Yeah, ghosts are gaseous.
What state of matter are ghosts? Now this is the question we're getting into now.
Well, so ignoring what state of matter they are clearly fluid in that they can change their appearance and their
Yeah.
sizing.
I mean, for sure. You're 100% right.
But giant 50-foot, 2,000-year-old snakes cannot. I mean,
That's a
apparently they
thick
can. 'Cause
snake.
they were doing something. That is a big
Lucius
old
Malfoy also
snake-a-room.
provided the snake voice. Fun fact. Jason
So
Isaacs.
when you guys were, I guess your first exposure to this would have been as reading the book. I figured out that it must be a snake extremely early on because we found out very early on in the dueling club that Harry could talk to snakes. And then Harry was hearing a voice that no one else could. And I'm like, oh, he's hearing a snake.
Yeah, I think I remember reading it and figuring out snakes and the pipes.
Yeah, dude, like, I was like 6 when I read this, so...
I would have been in fourth grade
Yeah,
maybe?
no, I was literally like 6 years old. It was like 99 or 2000. I was either like 5 or 6, and my mom was reading it to me, so I didn't exactly catch it until later on. But now I go back and I'm like, yeah, I could have easily figured that out 20 pages in.
There's also a snake on the front cover of the book. Maybe not the book I had then, but the book I have now looks like a snake.
What is the American cover for this one? Oh, it's them all flying out of the...
Yeah.
Yeah, well,
Fox.
the UK cover is just the car.
The Ford Anglia.
And the Ford Anglia.
Oh, I don't care for the car.
They
I don't care
destroyed
for that
17
whole
of
sequence.
those to make that scene. 17
Really?
Ford Anglias got marked by the Whomping Willow, which is in a completely
How do I
different
get
spot
that as my day job?
in the next movie.
What is your day job? Destroying Ford Anglias?
Yes.
I don't think that that's still something that you can do
Well-
as a day job. But if you want to like work in the crash test
Jordan,
place,
I think your best bet is to go outside, plant yourself in the ground, turn into a tree, and then hit things. They'll just
destroy
give
Fort
you the
Anglia.
job at that point.
Sounds good.
Like, wow, we've got a tree that can hit things here. Anybody want to make more Harry Potter movies? We'll get that.
you know what's a criminal thing is that Luna Lovegood is not introduced earlier on. Like she's never even mentioned.
Yeah.
And then she's just like, I'm just gonna give her a whole chapter.
Yeah, I mean, there's lots of characters that come in throughout time. We get a lot of Hufflepuffs in this movie.
Ernie Macmillan.
and Justin Finch Fletchley.
Yeah.
But
What are you playing
that's
at?
Tyler, when you were in middle school, did you pay attention to kids who were in the other classes?
Yeah, I knew every single kid in
See,
my school.
I went to a small school and I distinctly remember that like every year I would have a new crush because I didn't want to crush on someone who wasn't in my class because I wouldn't see them and therefore wouldn't think about them.
I mean, I did too, but I knew who everyone was. I knew every single person in my middle school.
I went to school at the same school from kindergarten
There's
to
also only
senior
40
year.
kids per class. Harry's class only has like 40 people. How does he not know all of them?
I mean, we had 89 in my high school graduating class, and while eventually I knew everyone's names, I couldn't tell you anything else about them.
I knew most of the kids in our graduating class. I knew all of their names, but I like knew most of them.
Yeah.
I mean,
And we weren't popular at all.
by high school I knew more people, but
Well, in my elementary school, I was put into like a special smart person group of classes where there were only like 10 people per year. So
yeah. See,
I knew
I'm
all
trying
those
to think
kids,
back.
and I
So-
didn't
so
know anybody else.
How old or what grade are you in when you're 12? Is that 6th grade, 5th grade?
Yeah, something like that.
You finished 6th grade when you're 12.
Yeah, so I don't even remember what the other 6th grade teachers' names were. Like, I remember most of the people in my 6th grade class, but I couldn't tell you who was in the other classes. I didn't care.
Oh yeah, by 6th grade, we all had classes together. Like everybody, like we didn't have like one teacher.
Nope, we still had, well, actually, in my 6th grade, we had 2 teachers. Well, there were 4 6th grade teachers, and each of the teachers were paired. So for one class, like, I had all of my classes with one teacher, and then for my math class, I would go to another teacher. And when I was in, like, when my class was in math with her class would be in, I don't know, history with my teacher.
Yeah, we had 7 teachers.
No, we had 8 core teachers and then gym and band.
Yeah,
in
so
6th grade.
Yeah, that didn't start till
And the
7th grade for me.
yeah, so we We had
You were either an owl or a hawk or something. Ethan and I were owls. We had Miss Sneed, Miss Mahalo, Mr.
Jones,
and the math teacher. Couldn't tell you her name, but she was a dark-haired woman.
She was my homeroom
curvy.
Teacher.
Yeah.
I 100% could not name the majority of my teachers in junior high anymore.
And then we had Miss Sarver, and I couldn't tell you who my gym teacher was. Mr. Hard.
It was Mr. Hard. Like we had Mr. Hard that year. And then
I don't even know
I
if
think
I
you
name
and Chris
my
had
sixth
Mr.
grade
Hard.
We have
teacher
Mr. Hard.
anymore.
I remember
it was
having
Mr. Hard, Mr.
Burch.
Burcham, and Miss Andrews.
Miss Andrews. I had Miss.
I had all of them. They just kind of rotated.
Yeah, I mean, there was no rhyme
and
or reason.
Her and Mr. Burcham were definitely getting it on.
They were in love, Ethan. They were in love.
I mean, whatever.
Enamorado. Anyway, Kenneth Branagh's so great.
Nice transition.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's all.
It's a great segue there.
Did you have any teachers who were like super duper self-absorbed and annoying, like Kenneth Branagh, aka Lockhart?
Probably not until college, I wouldn't think.
So I think my junior high English teacher, I sort of took, the only phrase that occurred to me was I took umbrage with her. But I did not like her very much because she would make us write in cursive, and she was the first teacher to ever give me detention.
I definitely remember the whole middle school thing of like, you gotta write everything in cursive. In high school, they use cursive, and then we got to high school, and they're like, here's a laptop.
See, I was pre-laptop era for high school.
Everybody gets so mad about that, but I am pro teaching kids cursive.
Why?
Maybe not for the reason that you're going to need it in high school because they make you write everything in cursive in high school, but I think it is important to know how to write in cursive.
Why?
I think it's important to know how to read in cursive.
What do you need cursive for? What is the point of cursive?
My grandmother writes in cursive.
Right,
because she's an old fogey.
You need to be able to read it.
I don't know. I believe in the value of handwriting things. I think that it's valuable, and I think learning cursive is important. I think honestly that not only should you be required to learn print in cursive, but you should learn how to do them well. And like bad handwriting should be grounds for lower grades.
Side note, everyone in the office has atrocious handwriting.
Yeah, I mean, it's not always something you can control. Yes. Like,
I mean, you can practice.
I did practice it, so
did I, and mine improved.
Okay, congratulations.
I'm not saying it works for everybody, but I think.
I mean, you said you think I should have failed high school
be...
because I can't write well.
No, I don't think you should have failed high school. I just think that there should be effort put into quality of handwriting.
Why though? Like, what value does that serve?
Because it's easier to read things.
Who cares? If you handwrite something and give it to me, I'm not taking you seriously at this point.
We at my workplace have a ton of whiteboards that everybody writes on all the time. And it is, like, to me, it is unacceptable. Like, the previous job I had, it was 8 dudes in an office, and we had a whiteboard that we wrote on every day. And only 2 people were allowed to write on it because they were the only people that had handwriting good enough to be legible.
Speaking of handwriting and jumping back to the Harry Potter movies,
Harry's handwriting is so good in the first one and so bad in the second one.
So, like, why do they not just use ballpoint pens? Like, I'm telling you, there's going to be some Muggleborn bringing in ballpoint pens instead of using a freaking quill and ink.
Oh, those
that is just
those are my favorite
purposes.
Tumblr headcanons. The kids that
Muggles
bring like
Hogwarts.
a thermos. The kids are tea hot, and there's kids sitting there going thermos to their cups.
Thermos. Yep.
No, I definitely agree with you there. I think, it's very weird that the Muggleborns don't make any sort of effort to use, like, Muggle inventions because it would make so much sense. But I think it just goes to show how out of touch with reality the wizards really are. And sometimes she really accents it with putting, like, Arthur Weasley in there being like, what's a rubber duck do?
How does a plug work?
Can you imagine this generation of Muggleborns, like, talking about vines?
What do you mean I can't have my iPhone in Hogwarts?
Yeah, what's the Wi-Fi password?
iPhone? Right.
I'm totally writing a fan fiction now.
I think there's like a Twitter page that's Hogwarts IT guy.
Oh gosh. I don't know, man. I've never understood the whole quill thing. It's so, and it creates problems frequently. They're just like, oh, my quill's broken. I gotta buy new quills. I'm out of ink. The ink spilled all over the place.
This quill burns my hand.
Yeah, this quill scars me. I'm writing in my own blood.
Nobody seems to be able to stop this from happening.
Well, because Harry's too damn proud to do anything about it.
Oh, this whole series is Harry should have told an adult, but decided against it.
Absolutely. Absolutely true. 5 could have been stopped immediately if he was just like, hey, Dumbledore, I'm having, like, visions of Voldemort attacking people. Can we do something about this? And had Dumbledore just been like, yep, we're just gonna do something about it instead of like, I'm gonna let Snape teach you occlumency.
Well, like it's just tell Anna you have ice powers.
She'd be fine with it.
Nothing bad will happen. just have the conversation.
Well, isn't the whole thing that if she knows about the magic, she'll die?
How great of it would it have been if when Hagrid came to visit Harry, Harry was like, yeah, I've done things that I haven't been able to explain before. I can talk to snakes. Because Voldemort does that.
And Harry's just...
It would have paralleled so well.
Just like, I'm a what?
Yeah, I'm a what?
You are a wizard.
Harry. Ooh, maybe Hagrid visiting Harry is my favorite scene in that movie.
Happy birthday,
Whoops,
Harry.
Sorry about that. Wow, that was a great Hagrid impression.
Who?
I think Ethan.
Me? Saying happy birthday,
Yeah.
Harry?
Uh-huh.
Oh, Robbie Coltrane.
Sorry about that. Happy
And
birthday,
it's like,
Harry.
it's spelled wrong. H-A-P-P-E-E.
Birthday, Harry.
Shouldn't have said that. I
Just
should
so
not
you
have said
know,
that.
On Prime right now for Prime Day, you can get the complete 8-film collection of Harry Potter for $23.
23?
Uh-huh.
That's like my whole bank account.
On like DVDs? Or...
On DVD, yeah.
On DVD or Blu-ray? Do you get digitals?
Format is DVD.
All I know is there's a dog that says, sorry, something went wrong on our end.
Yeah, that's been happening a lot.
I went to
Harry
HarryPotter.com instead of Amazon, but...
Harry Potter! I did. Well, you know. Harry Potter! Did you put your name in the goblet of fire?
Harry, did you put your name in the goblet of fire?
Complete 8-film collection on Blu-ray, $28.99.
Where is this?
Does an Xbox play Blu-ray?
Yep.
Yes. What kind of Xbox? Mine does.
I don't know. Whatever kind my sister has.
You should buy the... I wish these were on freaking... These don't come with the digitals, do they?
No.
Well, it's going to be a tough sell for me.
Why?
I love the digital copy. Oh, you can get them in... For $60, you can get them in Mandarin.
Cool. Well, these would be very useful to me, but...
No. We need to talk of rank the films. We're right at that mark.
Yes.
This has been fun. I enjoyed this Bacon and Eggs podcast. If you enjoy this Bacon and Eggs podcast, you can head on over to patreon.com/bacon and eggs. And for just $5 a month, you can have conversations with Ethan and I like most hours of most days. So what are you waiting for? Go on and do that. Thanks. Or if you don't want to talk to Ethan and I, you can buy a hat from bigcartel.something. I don't know. You're not going to type it in based on what I said. The link's in the description.
It is indeed. All right, so what do we think about Tom Marvolo Riddle? Tom Elvis
Voldy?
Je du sois.
All I know is that if I was to put all of the villains we've talked about on a list, Voldemort would just definitely, all I know is fall short of the Emperor.
Emperor Palpatine?
Significantly so.
So first of all, Voldemort couldn't even take over a high school.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, Emperor
Second of all,
Palpatine
Voldemort
took over a
high
galaxy and
school.
Voldemort couldn't take over a high school. You're exactly right.
Second of all,
So-
Tom Riddle was super duper cute, and it's really funny to imagine the headcanon of like people coming back to Hogwarts after several years and being like, oh my god, did you hear about Hot Tom? Yeah, he got super ugly, chopped off his nose, and started making his friends get matching tattoos.
Did you hear about...
They don't get tattoos.
Did you
they
hear
get
about
branded.
Hot Tom? Oh my god.
10-year reunion. Did you hear about Hot Tom?
Voldemort
Yeah, he
shows up
blew
to the
with
10-year
Potters.
reunion and is just like, hey guys.
Also, side note, Voldemort's super duper old. If the chamber was opened 50 years prior...
He died...
Like,
He's also
he died
immortal.
at age 70.
right, he's like solidly into his 60s by the time Harry Potter grows up.
Yeah.
He's 63 in
He died at age 70.
first one.
Is what the thing, or 69, one of the two. He was born in...
69.
But he's also immortal, so how old is he? What was that? What are you saying?
He's not
dirty again? You
he's
talking
not
about
immortal.
dragonflies?
What are you talking about?
I'm sorry. If I ever don't laugh at someone saying 69, I am a hostage and you need to come rescue me.
Just assume I'm dead. Those are my favorite things. It's like if I ever don't retweet this, assume that I'm dead.
I will never not reblog. That's the Tumblr in me coming out. I don't even have a Tumblr account, but I know what they say over there.
Delivery to Jordan.
Tom Marvolo, I don't know. I give him like a 3.
I'm with that. Okay, Harry Potter ranking. This is the worst one.
This is
Yeah.
the worst one.
Cool.
Oh, see, I disagree.
What? You think this is so far?
You
what
think it's
we've
better than
reviewed?
Sorcerer's Stone or I almost said Phantom Menace because I'm looking at the bottom of the list, but Sorcerer's Stone or Fantastic Beasts.
It is not significantly worse than Sorcerer's Stone because the casting of Lockhart and the casting really of all of the... No, I would say that it is better than Sorcerer's Stone.
I would disagree with
That's
you.
fine.
Yeah,
You're welcome to your opinion. It happens
They're
to be
close.
wrong.
I think that just the fact that the Sorcerer's Stone is so magical and it is the establishing film kind of gives it an extra leg up for me. But
Yeah, and it does a good job of being the establishing film. Like the Phantom Menace does a bad job.
right,
of
it's
being
not
the
like a
establishing film.
wide margin.
Side note,
No,
I literally
also-
did buy the Harry Potter box set while we were discussing just now.
Nice.
Yeah, I
we're
think
about
so.
to.
Yeah.
As soon as this is over.
That would just make my life a lot easier. These are really hard to find without paying for them.
I paid $2.99 for Chamber of Secrets. That was all.
Where did you watch the first one?
I own the DVD.
I mean, I think I have the DVD for the first 2 at my parents' house, but I didn't grab them.
Yeah, you did grab your hat though.
I did
Hope
grab
you
my hat.
enjoyed
I haven't worn it yet. Anyway,
you
yeah,
did.
it's because I hate you, of course. All right, let's rank this on all of our movies ever.
It's lower than what? Like, it's not a wide margin, but it's lower.
So is it better? Is it better
don't know
than
if-
Thor?
No.
But it is better than Attack of the Clones.
Yes.
There you go.
So it's better than the movie that Kenneth Branagh directed.
No, it's worse. It's
It's
worse
not
than
better than-
Thor.
Oh.
But it's better than Attack of the Clones.
If Kenneth Branagh played Harry Potter, that would be different. But he plays Gilderoy Lockhart, who is honestly not in the movie that much. Screen time is low.
Yeah, pretty much. That's where I'm at. I'm right there between Thor and Attack of the Clones. That works for me.
How high on the list, if you were to just give a guess now as to how high on this overall ranking will any of these movies get?
Not that high, honestly. I think I rated Fantastic Beasts pretty high, and that's definitely my favorite.
I'm curious what's going to happen when we have to defend ourselves to Brizzy.
Who is going to try to tell us that Deathly Hallows Part 2 is the greatest movie ever made?
Right.
We'll see. We'll see what she says.
Right. We might have to put those two together, part 1 and 2.
Maybe.
We also might not.
I don't know.
Haven't decided.
Well, this was a lot of fun. Let's do the sign off.
Okay. Thank you so much for listening to Bacon and Eggs. My name's Tyler Carlin. His name's Ethan Edgehill. Her name's Super Awesome Jordan. All of our social media links are in the description below or to the side or wherever, depending upon where you're listening to this. But if you need to follow us on Twitter, I'm at AmeriCarlin. Ethan's at Wow Now. The O's are zeros. Jordan's Super Awesome Jeb. Not like Jeb Bush, but spelled the same. On
She loves that.
Instagram, everything's...
She's Super
On
Awesome
Instagram,
Jordan.
everything's-
Instagram, I think.
Oh, is she?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Are you? Super Awesome Jordan on Instagram. Otherwise, Ethan and I are the same. You can follow the podcast on Twitter at Baconandeggs23. We do a lot of fun things over on the Twitterverse. We got 1,000 followers today. I don't know if that's a milestone, but I just noticed it that we hit that 4-digit world. So go Bacon and Eggs Twitter. You can buy our merchandise at whatever the link is. You can become a patron at patreon.com/baconandeggs. Literally, our Patreon is just, the community is amazing. I love it. It's so much fun. And there's a bunch of cool stuff over there. You can join Team Bacon or Team Eggs, or for $5 a month, you can join our Discord server, which is like the greatest thing that's ever existed. You get to meet people like KT, the eucologist. She's cool. I don't know what else to say. What else do I say? Our artwork is done by Vaishon Brandon. And do we have another vendor to talk about?
No.
I don't think so. We are still looking for music. A couple people have reached out to us and sent us a few things. We're still looking. We haven't quite decided on what we're going to do just yet. So if you're an aspiring musician and would like to audition for the role of Bacon and Eggs composer, we are willing to hear, show us what you got.
I need to email Stuart
everything.
Baton back or DM him back because he
Yeah,
wants
we've gotten a
to
couple emails.
do one, and I never got back to him because I suck, and he's also just a lot.
Yeah.
But
he is a
anyway,
lot. I don't
Jordan,
want vendors
Jordan,
that are a
any
lot.
last words for the folks, for the yokes, for the friends?
The yokes. Howdy yokes.
Thank you so much for having me. This was incredibly fun.
Pretty obvious we'd have you on
Pretty
the
obvious.
we'd have you on the podcast. We wouldn't think to do this without you.
Is that everything?
Yeah, thank you so much for joining us on the podcast. You're super duper wonderful, and
I might even be super
It's-
awesome.
You might
you
be.
are super awesome.
You might be.
And
I've been Ethan Edgehill. He's been Tyler Carlin. She's been Super Awesome Jordan. And until next week, arrivederci.
alas, earwax.